Sam and I are out walking in the dark, and we happened to find a place with lots of other dogs, and they started barking. Maybe you can hear them in the distance. And now he's all aware. And this got me thinking about initiative. See, right now Sam's trying to decide what to do. He's got his ears all perked up. His body's not tense. His body's relaxed, but it's ready. He's well balanced. He's sniffing the air. He's looking all around, trying to assess what's necessary. And as I move around, he keeps moving his body in between me and the barking dogs, which I find a little touching, I have to say. Now Sam is alert and aware. He's thinking about possible threats. He's thinking about, well, I believe he's thinking about escape. And he's always considering me in his positioning and his plans. So obviously you can see why this would start me thinking about initiative. Initiative is one of those things that the way it's handled in a role-playing game can be a point of contention. Some people want to throw it out altogether and just narrate. Well, I think I would get to go first because, and then fill in the blank for the reason. Or it needs to become such a heavily significant aspect of the encounter, meaning you roll it every time, so it swings back and forth without a lot of, let's say, dramatic connection to the events of the scene. More recent developments in game design have had initiative rolled once, and then a caveat put in place where, if significant damage is done or some kind of upset takes place narratively or mechanically, then you would re-roll initiative, or perhaps just assign a reversal in initiative if appropriate. If your character is on the ropes but manages to come back and score a significant hit, you might re-roll initiative to see if you can take the tempo, or you might be granted a moment of being in charge of the tempo. And that's the aspect of initiative that I wanted to hit on in what I hope will be a short clip. Initiative is usually interpreted as who gets to go first, and in some games we used to interpret it as who gets to go best, because in some games there's simply acting, but in other games there's a declaration phase followed by acting. And if you have the initiative and you get to listen to everyone else's declaration before you decide what you're doing, you get a significant tactical advantage. This doesn't represent simply acting faster. It also represents understanding and interpreting what your opponent is going to do, which is not always related. But what I like to think initiative represents is more who controls the tempo of the fight. It's not so much that your opponent is outthinking you, and it's not entirely that they are faster than you, but the tempo, the beat, the rhythm on which they're acting, because of their reactions, their coolness under fire, their resistance to injury, their resistance to fatigue, all of these things and more. Because of the tempo on which they are acting, they are dominating you. You're lifting your fist to try and punch them, but they've already punched you, or they have done a stop hit. They've hit your arm, prevented your punch, and now they're inside your guard and they're pummeling you and then stepping back with a smile. And now they're in kicking range and they start launching kicks and they force you into blocking those kicks, and you're trying to get into a position where you can actually do some damage and stop defending yourself, and now they're inside your guard again, and next thing you know you're on the ground and they've got you pinned, and on and on and on. They are deciding how this fight plays out. And it has nothing to do with them reading your mind, and it has everything to do with them being in a superior position, and that's how I see initiative. This is not something I think we can just hand wave or narratively assign. I think I should get to go first because this number on my sheet says I'm faster. That should certainly be a part of it. But the combination of narration, the combination of, let's say, combat superiority and training as represented in the system of choice, and the scene. How did the scene actually start? All of these things should contribute. There's an expression about the best laid plans, and I find that sparring matches give you an indication of how this goes, and of course actual fights give you a much more clearly defined indication of how that goes, where you start out thinking, yeah, I own this guy, and you put yourself in a position and you're already, working your way up. You are thinking 3-4 moves ahead, and you're getting yourself ready, and then you realize that you're not the one who's controlling this fight. Of course, the real fight, it all happens so much faster. There's usually so much aggression, and all you want to do is impose or inflict your force on another person until you discover that you have met superior force. Representing this by a die roll as a person who has had his fair share of experience with violence, both planned and unplanned, I've always felt is appropriate. How about you? How do you feel initiative can be handled best, mechanically, by whatever system you choose to undertake? Dice, point expenditures, comparing of ratings, however it is that's done. How do you want to do it?